There's a common argument I see a lot online that AA is the one place you can go if you got an addiction problem and you don't have to worry about judgment. That it's the one place you can go to and you'll be accepted for who you are, no matter how you believe and no matter how you feel. And I remember there was an old timer that used to say all the time, try going to church and saying that you had been through a drunken blackout and gotten a DUI. Try going into a normal situation with ordinary people and saying that you had a severe drug addiction or that you had stole to supplement your drug addiction and see how everybody reacts. And that is not completely entirely true at all when it comes to AA. Yeah, you can go to AA and you can make up one of the most grandiose tales ever, like I think most 99% of the people do. I can't believe I ever put any seriousness or stock in anything they were saying because, you know, some of these people saying they had like 15 DUIs and 14 felony convictions and they were living on the streets and they needed a liver transplant and then they just did the 12 steps and all of it just went away and became normal. I don't know how I ever bought into any of that or believed there was even a grain of truth in what those people were saying. But while that sounds a little bit plausible on the surface, yeah, you could come to AA and be the worst screw-up in the entire world and they'll accept you for who you are. You find out right away, real quickly, though, that's not true. That's not even remotely true at all. If you don't believe me, go to a meeting after you haven't had a drink in 6 months. Well, pick up a blue chip for 6 months without a drink and then come back the following week and say, you know something, I went out Saturday night with some friends and I had a few cocktails and I didn't get drunk and I didn't do anything severe. And so I feel okay about that. But I'm glad to be here. See what happens. Oh, there'll be a few people that'll say, you know, it's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you get up. But you know, inevitably, some old-timer is going to jump in the shares, and he's going to say that something about people thinking they're too smart for the program or people who haven't had enough. And then somebody's going to have to share some horror story about how they moderated for about a week, and then all of a sudden they ended up killing someone behind the wheel of a car or something like that. And you'll be lambasted by all kinds of horror stories about what happens to people who don't take the program seriously. In other words, don't live in terror for the rest of your life. Go to a meeting after you've celebrated a year. Get up there and get your medallion and say, well, I've got a year of sobriety, but I don't really like the big book, and I don't really believe in having sponsors, and I didn't really do all the steps. I did a 4th step, and I got halfway through with it, and I said, you know something, it just wasn't for me to do that. Try doing that and see what the reaction will be. You'll have a few people say, well, you know, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. And you'll have some people say, progress, not perfection. But inevitably, somebody's going to pop up and say, well, all I know is I've been around here for a long, long time, and I've seen a lot of people try to half-ass the program, and they all end up drunk. And I saw one guy who said he wasn't going to do a 4-step, and he committed suicide 2 weeks later. You know, there's always those kind of scare tactic tales, tall tales that are completely made up. I don't think it's possible for half of these horror stories you hear in AA to be remotely true. And even if, let's just say for the sake of argument here, and I'm going to throw this into the mix, let's say you did know somebody that said, I'm not going to do a 4-step, and 2 weeks later he blew his head off. You can't conclusively prove that he blew his head off because he didn't do a 4-step. You can't conclusively prove that because someone didn't do a 4-step and got rip-roaring drunk 6 months later that it had any fucking thing to do with a 4th-step whatsoever. But that is what they will have you believe. Try going to a meeting and say, I haven't drank in about 2 months now, and I'm feeling pretty good. I'm not going to but one meeting a week now, and I've read the big book once. I don't think I'm going to keep reading that over and over again. It just doesn't seem like it's very productive to me. See how you treat it. Or just go to a meeting and say, you know, I still occasionally like to drink from time to time, but I feel that I'm doing a lot better since I got here because I'm not staying drunk 24/7. See how you're treated. There's very much this idea that everybody who comes into the cult religion is accepted for who they are. That only applies when you're new. That only applies for maybe the first 2 or 3 months when you are brand new to the program and you haven't been around for a long period of time. If you've been around the program for any period of time, you will quickly learn that if you don't talk the lingo, if you don't tell the right stories, if you don't say the right things, if you don't follow the script and follow the dialogue and get in line with what everyone else is doing and behaving like, then you'll find out AA is not so welcoming. You'll find out that AA really doesn't accept you for who you truly are. They accept you for who you're truly not. Because as long as you're parroting program slogans and as long as you're saying the party lines, you're accepted. But are any of those party lines and empty slogans that you're repeating really you at your truest self? I'm willing to bet they're not. I'm willing to bet that some of the people that I've seen that have come in that were people that you could relate to, that I could relate to on a normal type of level. I've seen new people come in that I would be outside the meeting smoking and I would say to the person something like, some of this stuff they're saying is just absolute bullshit. And they'd be like, I know, right? And they would kind of agree. And then about 4 or 5 months later, they wouldn't be caught dead saying something like that. They're towing the party line all the way through and through. I thought I was smart when I got here, and I didn't agree with what everybody was saying, but I saw right quick this was life or death, and I had to become an obedient cult member and parrot the slogans or else. There's even a line in their own literature that says we had to do this or else. Or else. Anytime you have to use threats and intimidation and coercion and this looming danger of a drunk that could fall on your head at any given moment of any given hour of any given day, provided you're not towing the party line and conforming to the spiritual principles that they talk about, that's not accepting people for who they are. That's accepting you for who you are so long as you agree with everything we say. It was like people I met in AA and said, well, I don't really believe in God. I'm a free thinker. I'm an agnostic. I don't even pray or something like that. The second that they get called on a meeting, they'd say, but the truth of the matter is there's such a thing as spiritual principles and you have to obey the spiritual principles. Or you would have the so-called AA atheists that would do the little intellectual exercises and the wordplay with everything, but they would say something like, but the steps and the inventory and the sponsor and the meetings. So technically all those kinds of people are doing is they're just experimenting with how far outside of the box they can go before they come right back into the box altogether. Like I remember one old-timer that would frequently say, there's a lot of stuff in the AA Big Book that doesn't apply to me today. And of course, you would think he was about to say something really controversial, and he would say something like, but the steps and the spiritual principles and honesty and open-mindedness and willing. So in other words, you're almost, but not quite, stepping outside the box. You want to give the appearance that you're some kind of AA rebel, that you're some kind of AA challenger, that you're some kind of an outsider who's barely standing on the fringes of society and all that. But in truth, underneath all the fancy little talk, you're still towing the party line and you're still being an obedient cult member to the religion of Quackaholics Anonymous. You're not really being controversial. Controversial would be saying the fourth step don't help you. Controversial would be saying I stayed sober in AA 10 years and then I did a fourth step and then I went and got me a drink after doing it because that just doesn't apply to me anymore today. You can't do those things in the AA religion because if you dare to question the narrative, if you dare to step outside the authority boundaries, you're no longer accepted. You're no longer going to get called on every meeting. You're no longer going to have sponsees. So one of the biggest lies that I see the AA defenders always doing is saying you're accepted in AA regardless of who you are or regardless of, where you came from and all that other kind of thing. But that's blatantly false. You are accepted for being who you are so long as you're willing to be molded into what they want you to become. That's how you're accepted into AA. You're accepted into AA if you admit that you're some sick, psychopathic human being, but who's still trying for progress, not perfection, meaning you're being obedient to the cult religion. You are accepted in AA so long as you're willing to say you need help and you need the steps and you need the sponsors. Other than that, you're not accepted into AA. So it's one thing that really irks me when so many AA defenders will say, well, AA is the one place you can be whatever you want to be. No, that's not true. That's blatantly false. As anybody who's ever relapsed or fallen from grace or who's ever just not towed the party line could probably personally attest. This is going to be a shorter video than my usual one, but that doesn't require a whole lot of thinking to realize that. Just look at the literature itself. It threatens you with death. Any program that threatens you with coercion that says you're going to die if you don't do this our way, that says if you don't accept what we're teaching to you, you're sure to die, you're sure to end up in jails and institutions. That's not a program of attraction. That's a program of steel-fisted bullying. Anyway, hopefully I'll see you guys soon. Till next time.